And the headlines from the week. His Majesty the King granted an audience to the 2013 and 2014 graduates of the Royal Institute of Management on Saturday. The Paro District Court has sentenced 7 Indian nationals from 1.5 years to 3 years for smuggling gold. And the number of graduates sitting for this year's orientation program is less compared to that of last year. The ambassadors of Colombia, Slovak Republic and Republic of Slovenia to Bhutan presented their credentials to His Majesty the King at the Tashikchozong last Friday.
The ambassadors of the Republic of Slovenia, Slovak Republic and Colombia were escorted in a traditional tribute ceremony to the Tashikchozong. Inside the throne room, the 3 ambassadors presented their credentials. Ambassador of the Republic of Slovenia is serving as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to Bangladesh, Nepal and Sri Lanka with seat in New Delhi in India. Prior to this, she served as the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to India, Hungary and Bulgaria. The Ambassador of Slovak Republic to Bhutan served as the Director of the Department of Economic Diplomacy under the Ministry of European Affairs of the Slovak Republic. He also served as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to China. The Ambassador of Colombia to Bhutan assumed the present post in April this year. Prior to this post, she assumed a position in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Colombia as the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and acted as the Minister of Foreign Affairs in several occasions. Following the credentials, the 3 ambassadors called on the acting Prime Minister, Damchudoji. Chikmitile, PBS News.
His Majesty the King granted an audience to the 2013 and 2014 graduates of the Royal Institute of Management on Saturday. His Majesty was accompanied by Her Majesty the Gelsin. Their Majesties interacted with the graduates at length. His Majesty's audience to the RIM graduates comes ahead of the Institute's 18th convocation tomorrow. A total of 277 graduates who completed various master's, postgraduate and diploma courses from the Institute last year and some earlier this year will attend the convocation. The Royal Institute of Management was established in 1986 under the command of His Majesty the 4th Drugalpo to develop the in-country capacity in administrative and managerial fields both in the government and the private sector. The President of Bhutan National Legal Institute, Her Royal Highness Princess Sonam Dichin Wangchuk, also graced the closing of the 2-day workshop on judicial ambiguity over the weekend in Bumtang. Drungpins from 9 Dzongkhaks and 9 Dungkhaks of Eastern and Central region attended the workshop, which was aimed at resolving anomalies in day-to-day application of laws and procedures. During the discourse, the judges shared their experiences and practical problems. The National Legal Institute now has completed the workshop in 15 Dungkhaks and 20 Dzongkhaks. Millennium Development Goals remain an unfinished business for the Asia and the 8th Pacific region, said the Prime Minister Sring Topge. Lenchen was speaking at the 70th session of the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific held in the Thai capital, Bangkok.
Prime Minister Sring Topge, who was the chair of the 78th session of the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, told the regional gathering that the Asia and the Pacific region must strive together to accelerate its progress towards achieving the remaining Millennium Goals and targets. The theme of the 78th Commission session was Regional Connectivity for Shared Prosperity. Lenchen said there is an urgent need for a paradigm-shifting integrated approach towards regional connectivity for attaining a future of shared prosperity. Prime Minister reminded that an equitable pattern of growth and development should be reinforced as the Commission's objective, whereby all countries of the region, big and small, rich and poor, developed and developing, low income and high income, benefit from the regional growth processes. Tishinongmo, BBS News.
Prime Minister Sringtopge graced the opening of the 21st Annual Zongdas Conference in the capital on Monday. During his keynote address, the Prime Minister talked at length about various issues. The Prime Minister said that Zongdas are His Majesty's direct representatives in the Zongkaks. He also highlighted on the fact that the tourism industry, agriculture and economy as a whole needed to be strengthened. The Prime Minister also announced that he would be meeting with each Zongda on the sidelines of the conference to review the performance agreements signed with them. The new Indian ambassador to Bhutan, Gautam Bambawale, visited the Chukha hydropower project on Tuesday. He reassured that Indian government's continued support to Bhutan. He said India will assist and help Bhutan in whatever ways it can in its capacity, and priorities for assistance have to be laid by the people of Bhutan.
Visiting the dam site and powerhouse of the project, Ambassador Gautam Bambawale said he was impressed with the competence of those people managing the project. He said Chukha hydropower project, one of the earliest projects, is an abiding symbol of India-Bhutan partnership. Therefore, it was on the top of his places to visit list.
Once a hydropower project is done, completed and in operation, we tend to forget about it. I don't forget about these things, and that is why I chose Chukha to come to first. I wanted to see the Chukha hydropower project in operation for so many years. And as I told you, I think it is being managed extremely efficiently, and that its operations is something which both the people of Bhutan and the people of India can be proud of.
He described the relation between Bhutan and India as a true partnership. The ambassador said that both the countries are in the process of economic development and social progress, and in this process the two countries could help each other. The ambassador also visited the Chukha Zandoperi, where he lit butter lamps and offered prayers. In the days to come, he has plans to visit other hydropower projects carried out jointly by the two governments.
I would like to visit many other places in Bhutan where there may not be a hydropower project under construction, because my belief is that if I want to understand Bhutan, if I want to understand the people of Bhutan, I must travel as much as possible in your beautiful country and meet as many of the people of Bhutan as I can. So my intention will be to travel the length and breadth of Bhutan as much as I can do and as much as I can see.
Chukha hydropower project, the country's first project, was completed and inaugurated in 1988. Compiled for Sonomongdi, Digichorindoji, PBS News.
An outbreak of infectious disease, or IBD, has killed over 400 birds in pullet rearing farms in Tebisa and Barbgeok in Punakha. The infectious disease is a highly contagious disease of young chickens. The disease was earlier reported in Tsirang and Sarpang Zongkaks, where over 9,000 birds died of the disease.
The disease was first reported on 4th August in Kyemkha village in Tinegang under Tebisa Gyok. But in just 1 week, the disease started killing birds in Barbgeok. Narbadur, who owns a farm in Kamakha village in Barbgeok, lost about 60 pullets. He said the disease might have spread from Tebisa Gyok since he bought 200 pullets recently from a farm there.
Around 60 जस्तो मरेको अहिले हिसाब छ.
Within 3 days, 60 pullets died of the disease. The loss is worth 15,000 yilrum. I think many would have died, but the disease is a little bit under control now.
अब यहाँदेखि उता त अहिले थाहा छैन, अब जै पनि कति मर्ला जस्तो छ, तर पनि धेरै कन्ट्रोल भएको छ.
The disease affects chicks that are between 2 to 8 weeks old with mortality rate of 50%. Veterinarians said the sick birds appeared depressed, exhausted, dull and anorexic with ruffled feathers and huddled in large numbers in one corner.
It's a spillover from Telegang, and since it's spreading, what we are doing is isolating the birds, and then we have also issued ban orders stating that movement of poultry and poultry products from these farms is strictly restricted.
Officials said the disease could have spread from Sarpang because chicken feed was brought from Sarpang in July by poultry farm owner in Tinegang. Compiled for Chonidema, Kinzang Ishi, PBS News.
7 Indian nationals arrested earlier in February for smuggling around 8 kilograms of gold have been sentenced from 1.5 years to 3 years. In a verdict passed by the Paro District Court on Wednesday, 4 men who were arrested as the carriers of gold for Nadar received 1.5 years of imprisonment each. Another Indian national who had come to receive the 4 men at the airport was found guilty of the offence and was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. He was charged for 2 cases of aiding and abetting an earlier smuggling case and for an attempt to receive smuggled goods. 2 other accomplices who were found in a hotel room in Thimphu have also been sentenced to 3 years each and have been asked to pay over 3.5 million niltrim each. The 2 had earlier confessed to police of bringing a kilogram of gold each and handing it over to another Indian national. The convicts have been given 10 days to appeal the case to the High Court if unsatisfied. Police in Tachigang apprehended a woman who abandoned a newborn baby boy on Wednesday near Tachigang town. She was apprehended last week. The woman has confessed to the crime.
On Wednesday morning at around 11:30 a.m., a man found a newborn baby boy abandoned in a bush few meters away from Tachigang town towards Rangjung. The man was on his way to relieve himself when he found the baby. He then immediately informed the shopkeeper nearby.
An old man found a baby and told my wife, and I received a call from my wife and I rushed to the place and found the baby with the umbilical cord, and then I cut the cord with a scissor and I rushed to the hospital with the baby.
According to the hospital staff, the baby was covered with mud when he was brought to the hospital. The baby was kept under observation for a day in an incubator. Health officials said the baby is currently in stable condition. Meanwhile, Ugin Wangchuk says he will adopt the baby. He says many people are calling him to give the child for adoption.
I received more than 20 calls from everywhere and also from Thimphu for child adoption and asked me to give the baby to them if I don't want it, but I refused, saying it is a God-gifted baby.
Police said the mother will be dealt according to the law. Police are still questioning the woman on why she abandoned the baby. According to Section 218 of the Penal Code of Bhutan, a person who abandons an infant or small child will be liable for a maximum of 3 years imprisonment and minimum of 1 year imprisonment. Cheche, BBS News, Kangdong.
Yet another abduction in Sarpang Zongkhak. This time, 4 of them, 2 teenagers and 2 men were abducted. The crime took place last Thursday.
The incident took place in Nobugang village under Shompangkha Geok. The village is on the Sarpang-Galifu highway. It is about 300 meters away from the border. Among the 4 abducted, 2 were students of Sarpang High Secondary School and the other 2 were farmers aged 56 and 57. The 2 teenagers are cousins. Family members said there were about 30 armed men dressed in camouflage. The 56-year-old man and his family were having dinner when the armed men barged into their house and took the man and his 24-year-old son. The son was, however, released a few hours after abduction.
They told us that they will release us if we tell them the names of some contractors and people who own big buildings, shops and vehicles.
They told to open the door. When I got up and opened the curtain to see outside, there were a lot of people outside. We were all scared. We did not know what to do. Then my husband looked out. Again they told to open the door. We all did not open it.
The 57-year-old man who lived nearby was taken when he went out to check the commotion. The 2 boys had gone out to take bath when the incident took place. Family members said the armed men also searched their houses and inquired about the male members of the family. Meanwhile, family members have received phone calls demanding for an undisclosed amount as ransom. This is the first abduction case reported this year. Ishori Gurung, BBS News, Galifu.
This year, the National Graduates Orientation Program, which began on Wednesday, saw less university graduates than last year. Over 2,300 university graduates are attending the 15-day program this year, which has been held at the Royal Institute of Management in Semtoka. 1,103 are from within the colleges in the country, and 1,205 university graduates are from 12 different countries around the world. Last year, over 2,400 graduates attended the program. The program is conducted every year by the Labour Ministry to orient the graduates on policy and culture and for personal development. The Road Act and also the Land Act do not allow the construction of houses within 50 feet from the center of the highway. The recent Songkak Tsogdu of Dagana saw discussions on this. Local leaders said not all gyuks respect the rule. Tsangka Gabdoji said while some gyuks do not allow construction of houses within 50 feet from the center of the highway, others ignore the rule.
Most local leaders argue that it is not our job to monitor. They say the responsibility lies with the road department. This needs to be clarified. The rule has to be implemented uniformly. I'm not referring to the houses that were built before the rule came in place. I'm talking about the constructions that were carried out after rule came into being and of future constructions.
Dagana Zongda said the responsibility also lies with the gyuk leaders as well.
People can claim that they were not aware of the rule. Therefore, gyuk leaders must monitor constructions in their respective gyuks. A committee to look after the matter would make things easier.
The Tsogdu chairperson said the issue is a contentious one.
People challenge us all the time. They tell us that it's their land and the right lies with them. We explain to them it's forbidden by the law. I have worked as Gov for a long time now, and the issue always crops up. Maybe the distance should be made shorter.
Compiled for Surja Manthapa and Kinchusring Pemalhadan, BBS News. That is all we have in this week's Bhutan This Week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.